Alright guys, thanks for joining me tonight. I just want to do a video about knowing your worth in the workforce. Know your worth. So I had done a video a couple weeks ago, like I cannot survive on this income, right? At this dealership. I'm like, so I don't get paid for cars unless I sell a bunch of cars. I don't get paid for it. I get minimum wage with no overtime pay, right? So I did a video about that. And then I took it down because I'm like, just try to persevere, Melissa, because that check had ticked me off, discouraged me for a whole week. So, I'm like, well, see if you can do it. See if you are capable of selling cars. I had about 3 deals in the work today, 3 car deals. So I sold one 2 days ago and 3 more today. That is within 2 weeks. That's about 10 cars within 2 weeks. So I know I can do it now. I had a guy show up in an ambulance today and he's like, um, yeah, I'm like, hey, I had somebody trying to get to him before me. So I'm like, hey, yeah, are you here for a used car or emergency? And he's like, a used car. So I showed him what we had, and I was being told, you should know this. You should know that we have this car out there, because I asked if we still had it. You should have done a lot walk. You should have known. Get to the other sales manager. Do we have one of those? I didn't know we had one of those. We must have just got it. I had no idea. So I'm being told once again that I need to bump up my game, even though I'm selling cars, even though I'm doing it, and I better sell cars this way instead of my way, blah, 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 and I already watched some YouTube channels that say most people don't want a phony salesperson. They want someone who's genuine and real. So, I ask questions, I'm told, go figure it out yourself. If I do something, I'm told, why didn't you ask? This kind of thing. So I've had this boss on me for 2 weeks now, this new boss. I told him to back off, told him I need my space. Today he starts lying about me. Okay, that's one thing that really ticks me off is when someone lies about me and accuses me of things. So this boss says to me, hey, and he knew I already had a deal on the phone. I already had somebody pretty much coming in. So I'm taking pictures of the car. I have to find the key. The key was misplaced. I said, I'm going over there to find the key. Then I hear, do you want to take pictures for the owner? And I'm like, no. And I was walking away and he goes, that doesn't make any sense. Why don't you want to take pictures for the owner? And I just kept on walking thinking, okay, he's disrespecting me. He's being critical. I'm going to go do what I had to do. So I came back and I said, I probably should have put that a different way and said, no, I'm busy right now, right? And he goes, you did not do your job. You were told to take pictures and you didn't want to take pictures and you said you were too busy. I said, I did not say that to you. This is what I said to you. And you asked me in a way that seemed like it was a choice. Do I want to or don't I? And I chose the answer no to you because I had other things to do. I had enough going on. And so he tried to blame that on me and started lying about me. So I go over to the manager. I tell him what's going on. He's like, well, this is the way it is. Talk to so-and-so and talk to so-and-so. So I went and I talked to so-and-so, okay? And he didn't really do anything about it. He was just like, well, what's the problem? And I'm like, you want to tell him he's coming off kind of critical for me? And I voiced myself, which I usually haven't done that at jobs. And he's like, well, okay. And he kind of brushed it off. So then I told my coworker I'm ready to walk out. I'm ready to walk out. And I decided to, pray about it and, not act from emotion, even though he ticked me off. And I just gave him the silent treatment pretty much the rest of the day. I didn't talk to this particular boss because he lied about me and he's a liar. So I did that, got past that, all right? Then I had another situation pop up. I had a customer on the phone wanting a car. I just pretty much sold a vehicle. They're coming in tomorrow. And then I had another situation where I said, hi, I waved to this car coming up. I'm going toward them, walking toward them. Someone cuts me off, completely cut me off, and starts talking to them. And, the person says, okay, you were working with so and so. I'm going to go get so and so. So while he goes and gets him, I said, hey, I have the key to this in my hand. Let me show you the car. So I went and showed him the car. And I get into the dealership and I hear, we need to talk about what just happened. And I go, what just happened? He goes, you don't know something just happened? I go, what? What just happened? He goes, well, this was so-and-so's customer. You took the customer instead of giving him the choice to decide who he wants to take it. I go, oh, okay, I didn't know that. He goes, well, he's pissed off now. They're pissed off at you. I'm like, oh, okay. Thinking too bad because this guy originally cut me off, so too bad for him. The other guy who had the deal, I went over to him and I said, this is how I saw it. This is what the situation was. And he's like, well, usually this is how we do things, and blah, blah, blah. Oh, okay, now I know because no one told me. So then I went to two managers. I told them the stuff that was going on today. Nothing got resolved. And so one person said, oh, well, you have to learn to communicate with the people and get on the same page. I go, I was communicating, and this is why I'm having a problem because they're not communicating with me. So I said, you throw me to the wolves and this is what's going to happen to the other manager. He's like, well, that's how I learned. I got thrown to the wolves. And I'm like, it's not that. I can't totally get thrown to the wolves, but there's no support here for me. And so we talked about how this is a problem. And I said, so how are you going to solve this problem? There were no solutions in place. This company has already been going down. They fired a bunch of people before I even started. I did not know that. They have been going down. They have been just having no systems in place to really know what they're doing, and that's why they brought somebody else in. So with that in mind, I said, well, with this problem that's not being solved, I will give my 2 weeks notice now. And they're like, well, in the car business, you really don't need a 2 weeks notice. And I said, great, I have packing to do and I have stuff to do, so I will actually leave today. So I handed in my plate and I handed in my tag and some other things and said thank you for the opportunity to this one person who hired me. And then to the other manager, I said I cannot work in a place that does not support me. So when you have people having their own perspective, their own views, they can't look and see, well, what was her perspective and blah, blah, blah. And geez, she's selling about 3 cars a day now. Maybe she knows what she's doing, So one thing I did prove to myself that I am totally capable of selling cars, and that's without much support. I did that, and it's one of the slowest businesses, and I was able to sell cars. So with that in mind, I can take my skills now to another dealership. I've already applied to other dealerships, and I have an interview in New Hampshire for work too. So I'm not quite sure what I'm doing, but know your worth, ladies. Know your worth. Do not back down when you know what you're doing, you know how you're doing it, and somebody comes in and walks all over you and thinks they know it all. Do not be afraid, even as a new person, to know your worth and stand your ground in the workplace.